Shanghai has been making headlines for weeks, with extended lockdown orders causing problems for residents, like food shortages. But other issues are coming to light too, and locals are getting fed up with the harsh restrictions. A video posted on Tuesday shows a foreigner collapsing on the street.
I want to die! I want to die! I want to die! No one can!
Rumors say he's French, though NTD cannot verify his nationality. The video shows a group of Dubai, the white gear-wearing workers also seen in Beijing, trying to get the man under control. That's after he attempted to break through barriers set up nearby in order to escape the area. Visibly under stress, he shouts repeatedly in Chinese, "I'm going to die." He then repeats a similar phrase in English, saying, "I want to die." A woman behind the camera can be heard saying, "Drag him inside." The Dubai workers soon bring the man back within the now fallen barriers. At that point, one of them tells him, "You are in China. You should obey Chinese laws. Do you get it?" Seconds later, the man again struggles to break free from their grip, shouting, "I want to die. No one cares."
I want to die! I want to die! I want to die! No one cares! No one cares! No one cares!
Then the woman behind the camera directs the Dubai to hold him down on the ground. But as soon as the Dubai workers let go of him, he immediately jumps up and makes a break for the barrier again. One of the Dubai is heard calling the man a psycho, prompting the man to again shout that he wants to die. Responding to him, one of the Dubai workers says, "If you want to die, you can't die here." Almost all tweets sharing the video claim the man is French. He also speaks French in the video. We reached out to the French embassy in Beijing, but did not hear back before airtime.
Negative views about China have reached a new high among Americans. This is according to a recent poll by the Pew Research Center published on Thursday. Over 80% of those polled see China negatively, with 40% having extremely negative opinions of the country. The numbers are up from a year ago and reached the highest since 2005. According to the survey, Americans are concerned about the alliance between China and Russia. 9 out of 10 American adults take it as a serious problem for the U.S., with over 60% saying they believe it is very serious. But more Americans are considering China a competitor rather than an adversary. The poll shows that over 60% perceive China as a competitor. That figure was below 55% in January. Roughly 43% of respondents say China is the world's #1 economy, and they say the same about the U.S. economy. That figure was 32% in 2020. The survey also reveals that 2 in 3 Americans view China as a major threat. The Pew Research Center completed the poll this March by interviewing nearly 3,600 American adults.
Many are comparing the newly formed Disinformation Governance Board to the Ministry of Truth from the classic novel 1984. What could this, along with vaccine passports and a cashless society, do to our future? NTD's Jason Perry has the story.
A digital gulag is a means of denying a person freedom, not by placing them in a physical prison, but by placing them in a digital prison.
Reggie Littlejohn is founder and president of Women's Rights Without Frontiers. She spoke at a webinar titled Digital Gulag, Vaccine Passports, Disinformation, and a Cashless Society. She says if people do not resist now, a digital prison can easily be accomplished with vaccine passports, a cashless society, and the Disinformation Governance Board, which was formed days after Elon Musk's takeover of Twitter.
Since the power elites can no longer use Twitter to police free speech, are they now instituting this new Orwellian Ministry of Truth? Censorship of speech and the control of the flow of information are straight out of the Chinese Communist Party playbook.
She said the Disinformation Board is the Chinese Communist Party's central propaganda department with American characteristics. She explained that anything that uses a digital QR code to show your vaccination status is a vaccine passport, and much of your information can be attached to it.
So they can be used to attach facial recognition, gait recognition, real-time geolocation, so that they know always where you are. Your social media posts, your internet search history, your internet spending history, and very importantly, your credit card and your bank accounts.
She says one of the issues the government would be able to do in a cashless society is if they label you as a domestic terrorist, they can cut you off from being able to spend your money, or as she calls it, put you in a digital prison. We reached out to the Department of Homeland Security for comment, but did not hear back before airtime.
But it's not just Doctor Strange running into problems in the world's biggest film market. According to Puck News on Sunday, Spider-Man No Way Home didn't receive a Chinese release either, because the country's authorities wanted Sony to remove the Statue of Liberty from the film. But just how big of a request was that? If you haven't seen the blockbuster, the entire final battle is fought on over and around the Statue of Liberty for over 20 minutes. Somehow changing or removing the landmark would have cost millions of dollars. The studio immediately rejected the request. Chinese censors then suggested cutting certain patriotic shots of the statue or obscuring Lady Liberty's face. According to Puck's sources, Sony considered it, but ultimately chose to forgo a Chinese release. The company likely could still have gotten into Chinese box offices by making the changes. But removing such an iconic American symbol wouldn't have been a good look for the studio. Plus, the edits weren't guaranteed to satisfy China's regulators. Besides, for Marvel, the Chinese film market isn't what it used to be. That's as Marvel's Shang-Chi and Eternals were shut out of the country for perceived insults to China. Shang-Chi star Simu Liu and Eternals director Chloe Zhao were labeled as traitors in China for their previous criticism of the ruling Communist Party. Next, we'd like to take a moment for an update on another situation requested by some of our viewers. They asked about the current Christian situation in China, especially given the Chinese Communist Party, or CCP's, persecution of religious believers in the country today. But before we begin, let's hear from a Beijing-based priest appointed by the CCP in an interview with the BBC.
If Jesus were alive today, do you think he would have been comfortable with a Communist Party government in China?
Absolutely. I think so. I think so.
The comment appears to hint at a grim picture of religious freedom in China. For decades, China's ruling communist regime has always repressed religion, and Christianity is one of its main targets. Officially atheist, the party runs its own churches and appoints its own priests, like the Beijing-based priest we saw in the clip. As a result, churches in China that didn't get approval became underground churches. Some of them actually refused registration themselves, out of concern that they'll be too closely monitored by the regime to properly convey the Bible. Their concerns seem to be justified for a number of reasons. According to Bitter Winter magazine, which reports on religious freedom and human rights, in the past few years, thousands of crosses have been torn down from the roofs of religious buildings across China. That's so people can't find the churches, according to what a local official told the magazine. In other cases, many churches have not only been closed, but completely torn down. A report found in one Chinese city alone, more than 60 churches were demolished or received a demolition notice within a year. What's more, even state-sanctioned churches now face new restrictions. In China, all churches must demonstrate their loyalty to the CCP, like displaying portraits of Communist leader Xi Jinping on their walls with party propaganda banners alongside them, instead of religious images. Surveillance cameras are also installed inside, recording all who attend services. Officials also forbid churches from advertising or publicly trying to attract new believers. More drastically, on top of jailing priests and prominent Christian leaders in China, Radio Free Asia reported last year that authorities in China are detaining Christians, quote, in secretive mobile transformation facilities to make them renounce their faith. That's despite China's constitution guaranteeing freedom of religion.